The starport of Virulon Prime was alive with energy. Ships of every shape and size moved like colorful fish through the vast docks. Aliens of all kinds, tall and short, winged and tentacled, walked the metal platforms. They shouted in different languages, negotiating trades, showing off their designs, and inspecting new ships for sale. Among these ships, there was one that stood out, but not in a good way. It was called the Persevera. Its hull was sleek, but there were small scratches and odd attachments. Its engines looked unusual, and the ship seemed different. When alien engineers examined it, they frowned. "This ship is old-fashioned," said a tall, silver-skinned engineer. "Its systems are too human. It will never survive in serious missions." A winged trader laughed. "Who would want this? Even a beginner pilot could do better." The Persevera was ignored by everyone. For weeks, it sat at the back of the starport, collecting dust and rumors. Most people said it was worthless, and every buyer walked away. But one pair of eyes saw something different. Jackson Hale, a human mechanic, watched the ship from a distance. He was not tall, and his clothes were simple. His hands were always stained with grease and oil, but his eyes shone with curiosity. While the aliens looked at the ship's flaws, Jackson saw a possibility. He walked closer to the Persevera, his boots clanging against the metal platform. He ran his fingers along the hull and smiled. "You're not broken," he said quietly. "You just need someone who understands you." The aliens around him ignored his words. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy, and they were often underestimated. Jackson, however, had spent his life proving that humans could build and fix things that others thought impossible. He approached the starport manager, a round creature with 6 eyes. "I want to buy the Persevera," Jackson said. The manager looked at him with surprise. "You? That ship? Are you sure?" "Yes," Jackson replied firmly. "I can make it work. Better than anyone." The manager raised one eyebrow. "It is rejected by all. Very cheap. But your confidence is unusual." "Very well, it's yours." With a small smile, Jackson signed the papers. The Persevera was finally his. Jackson took the ship to his workshop, a large building full of tools, machines, and half-finished projects. He studied the Persevera carefully. Its design was strange, but clever. The aliens had rejected it because they could not understand it. But Jackson, being human, saw potential in every detail. He opened the engine panel and examined the core. The ship's modular design was unique. It allowed for changes and upgrades in ways no alien ship could manage. Jackson's mind raced with ideas. "This ship can be fast, smart, and strong," he whispered. "It can do things no one else thinks possible." Over the next few days, Jackson worked tirelessly. He repaired minor faults, polished the hull, and studied every system. But then he noticed something unusual inside the ship's core. A small, glowing object, hidden behind the main engine. It was an ancient alien artifact, covered in strange symbols that he had never seen. It pulsed softly, as if it were alive. Jackson carefully removed it and held it in his hands. "What are you?" he asked. The artifact seemed to respond to his touch, sending small vibrations through the ship. Jackson realized that this object might be the key to making the Persevera special. He carefully installed it back into the ship, feeling a strange energy flow through the controls. Jackson began transforming the Persevera. He did not want to make just a regular ship. He wanted to make something no one had ever seen before. He upgraded the engines, making them faster and more efficient. He rewired the controls so that the ship would respond quickly and smoothly. He tested the shields, and then improved them so they could adapt to any situation. While working, he thought about the aliens who rejected the ship. They only saw the problems, not the possibilities. They only followed rules, never thinking outside the box. Jackson smiled to himself. Humans might be underestimated, but human creativity was unstoppable. The Persevera began to change. Its hull gleamed like silver in the sunlight. Its engines hummed with power. And inside the cockpit, the controls felt alive, almost like the ship understood Jackson's thoughts. One morning, a group of aliens came to the starport. They had heard rumors of a human working on the rejected ship. Some came to laugh, some came to watch, and some were curious. "Does he really think he can fix that?" asked a purple-skinned engineer with 4 arms. "He's human," said a small, green trader. "They always think they can do anything. It will fail." Just like always, Jackson ignored them. He climbed into the cockpit and started the engine. The Persevera responded immediately. It lifted smoothly, hovering above the platform. The aliens gasped. The ship moved with perfect balance, faster and more precise than any of them expected. It turned, tilted, and soared like it was dancing. Jackson laughed. "Not bad for a rejected ship, huh?" Some aliens tried to come closer, but the Persevera moved out of their reach easily. It was agile, smart, and alive with energy. That night, Jackson stayed in the cockpit, studying the artifact and the ship. He realized something important. The Persevera was more than a machine. The artifact inside it responded to human creativity. It amplified every idea, every adjustment, and every improvement Jackson made. He began testing small maneuvers in the nearby asteroid belt. The Persevera dodged rocks, glided through narrow spaces, and reacted instantly to Jackson's commands. Each test made the ship stronger and smarter. Jackson smiled as he watched the stars pass by. He realized that the Persevera was not just a ship for travel or trade. It had the potential to be a symbol of human ingenuity, something no alien could match. Days turned into weeks. The Persevera transformed from a rejected starship into a masterpiece. Other humans in the starport whispered about it, admiring Jackson's skill. Some aliens who had laughed before now watched quietly, unsure of what to say. Despite the praise, Jackson remained humble. He knew the ship was still a work in progress. There was more to discover, more to improve, and more to unlock. The artifact pulsed gently, hinting at secrets still hidden. Jackson looked at the Persevera and said softly, "Soon, the galaxy will see what humans can do." He did not want to use the ship for war or destruction. He wanted it to show the power of imagination, creativity, and determination. The ship was a test, not only for technology, but for the world's view of humans. One evening, as the twin suns set over Viewership Prime, a small group of aliens approached Jackson's workshop. They were different this time, not hostile, not mocking, but curious. "We heard, a human is making the Persevera fly like no ship before," said one, a tall creature with crystal-like skin. "We wish to see it ourselves," Jackson nodded. "Then, you shall. But remember, it is not just a ship. It is an idea. An idea that humans can turn rejection into strength." He started the engines, and the Persevera rose gently into the sky. The aliens watched in awe as the ship moved gracefully through the air. Its lights shimmered, its engines hummed like music, and the artifact glowed softly inside. The Persevera was no longer rejected. It was alive, brilliant, and full of promise. As the night grew darker, Jackson set a new goal. He would not let the ship remain a secret. He wanted the Persevera to travel to the far reaches of the galaxy, to show all civilizations that humans were more than just simple mechanics. He made notes, adjusted systems, and tested new ideas. Every day, the ship improved. And every day, Jackson's confidence grew. He knew the road ahead would be long, but he was ready. The story of the Persevera was just beginning. From a ship rejected by all, it was slowly becoming the ultimate human creation. And somewhere deep inside the artifact, a faint energy pulsed, as if it were whispering, "We are ready." Jackson Hale worked through the night in his workshop, the Persevera glowing softly under the lights. The alien artifact inside the ship pulsed with a gentle energy, as if it were alive and watching him. Jackson did not fully understand it yet, but he trusted his instincts. Humans had always been problem solvers, and this artifact seemed to respond to creativity rather than force. He opened the control panel and adjusted the navigation circuits. The ship's engines hummed in approval, responding with a smoothness he had never seen before. Even small movements of his hands produced precise reactions. It was as if the Persevera could anticipate his thoughts. "Not bad," Jackson murmured, smiling. "You're smarter than I thought." He began redesigning the engines first. The Persevera's original engines had been efficient, but limited by alien standards. Jackson replaced certain energy conduits with human innovations, flexible circuits that allowed the engines to push energy where it was needed most. He added miniature adaptive boosters that could change thrust angles instantly. Testing the engines was an adventure in itself. Jackson carefully lifted the ship off the platform, and it hovered silently. He guided it to the asteroid field, just beyond the starport. The Persevera moved with an agility that surprised even him, twisting and weaving between rocks effortlessly. "This is incredible," he said, laughing. "You weren't meant to fly like this. And yet here you are." Next, Jackson focused on the ship's shields. Alien ships usually relied on heavy armor or fixed energy barriers, but humans had always favored adaptability. He designed a shield system that could analyze threats in real time and adjust its shape and strength instantly. He ran simulations, and the Persevera responded with precision. Tiny energy patterns shifted along the hull, forming protective layers wherever they were needed most. It was like the ship was learning, becoming smarter every time he tested it. For days, Jackson worked tirelessly. He rewired the communication systems, improved the sensors, and even installed a human-style AI interface. It wasn't a fully independent mind, it was more like a partner. Every time he adjusted something, the ship seemed to respond, as if it were thinking along with him. One afternoon, while Jackson was upgrading the weapon modules, he noticed something remarkable. The artifact inside the ship glowed brighter when he solved problems creatively. When he followed strict instructions, it remained dim. "That's unusual," he said. "It doesn't respond to rules. It responds to thinking. Human thinking." He realized that this artifact could amplify human ingenuity, making the Persevera not just fast or strong, but capable of unexpected solutions. Jackson spent hours experimenting, adjusting circuits and trying new ideas. Each time, the ship became more capable, more precise, and more extraordinary. Soon, the Persevera was moving beyond simple testing. Jackson started exploring space near the starport. He practiced complex maneuvers, weaving through asteroid clusters and gliding along magnetic currents. The ship moved almost like a living creature, anticipating his commands. The news of a human transforming a rejected ship began to spread. At first, most aliens laughed, thinking humans could not achieve much. But curiosity got the better of them. Small groups started visiting the outskirts of the starport to watch the Persevera in action. One day, a winged engineer named Tavrek approached the workshop. His 4 wings glimmered under the sun, and his eyes held a mix of skepticism and curiosity. "You are the human with the rejected ship?" Tavrek asked. "Yes," Jackson replied calmly, "and it's going better than anyone expected." Tavrek watched quietly as the Persevera lifted off. The ship performed a series of complicated turns, dodged imaginary obstacles, and demonstrated an intelligence that seemed almost alive. I have never seen a ship move like that," Tavrek admitted. "It is remarkable." Jackson smiled. "It's not just the ship. It's the way humans think. We don't just follow rules. We find solutions, even where others see failure." Tavrek nodded slowly, realizing that the human had something that alien engineers often lacked: imagination. As the Persevera grew stronger, Jackson decided to test its speed in deep space. He programmed a course through a nearby asteroid belt, known for its twisting tunnels and sharp turns. Most alien ships would struggle here, but the Persevera moved with ease. The artifact pulsed steadily, as if encouraging the ship. Jackson realized that it was reacting to the ship's ingenuity, rewarding clever maneuvers with enhanced power. He experimented further, guiding the ship through complex patterns, and watching as the engines and shields adapted instantly. "This is beyond anything I imagined," he whispered. "You're more than a ship. You're a partner." For the first time, he felt a connection to the Persevera that went beyond mechanics. The ship seemed to understand human creativity in a way no alien machine ever could. One morning, a small alien delegation arrived at the workshop. They had heard rumors of a human ship performing incredible maneuvers and wanted to see it firsthand. The leader, a tall, crystal-skinned being named Zareth, asked politely, "Human, may we observe your work?" "Of course," Jackson replied, climbing into the cockpit. "But remember, it's not just a ship. It's human thinking in motion." The Persevera lifted into the sky, performing graceful turns, flips, and glides. Its adaptive shields shifted with each movement, responding to invisible forces. The aliens watched in awe, unable to hide their surprise. "It moves like it knows him," Zareth whispered, "like it understands his thoughts." Jackson smiled. "Exactly. That's the difference. Humans create solutions where others see limits." The delegation left, amazed, but not jealous. They realized that human ingenuity was a new kind of power, one that could not be measured by strength alone. During this time, Jackson also experimented with energy projection systems. Unlike alien weapons, which relied on brute force, he wanted the Persevera to solve problems creatively. He installed systems that could emit controlled energy pulses, not destructive, but capable of creating barriers, redirecting objects, or powering other devices remotely. In one test, he guided an energy pulse to a derelict satellite, redirecting it gently into a safe orbit. The artifact inside the ship glowed brightly, approving the ingenuity of the solution. This could change everything, Jackson thought. Not just for humans, but for the galaxy. We can build tools, solve problems, and help others without violence. Weeks passed, and the Persevera continued to evolve. Jackson adjusted its systems constantly, always testing new ideas. Every time he improved something, the artifact responded, enhancing the ship even further. He realized that the ship was not just a machine, but a reflection of human creativity itself. Every solution, every clever adjustment, made it smarter and more capable. The aliens who had once mocked the ship now whispered among themselves. Some were curious, some were impressed, and some quietly admitted that humans had something special, something they could not replicate. One evening, Jackson sat in the cockpit, looking at the stars. He reflected on the journey so far. The Persevera had gone from being rejected by all to being an intelligent, adaptable, and extraordinary ship. And yet, he knew there was more to discover. The artifact inside pulsed faintly, as if it were waiting. Jackson smiled. "We're just getting started," he said softly. "The galaxy doesn't know what's coming yet." The story of transformation was not only about the ship, it was about humans, their curiosity, determination, and ability to find solutions where others saw failure. Jackson had taken a rejected machine and turned it into something extraordinary. The Persevera, once ignored and dismissed, now glimmered under the twin suns of Virulon Prime. Its engines hummed with power, its shields adapted to every obstacle, and the artifact inside pulsed with energy that promised even greater discoveries ahead. And somewhere deep in space, unseen by anyone, a faint signal from the artifact reached outward, as if calling to other mysteries waiting to be unlocked. Jackson leaned back in the cockpit, smiling with pride. "Tomorrow, we go further," he whispered. "Tomorrow, we see how far humans can take this." The Persevera was no longer a rejected ship. It was a symbol of human ingenuity, adaptability, and the endless possibilities that came from creativity. And this was just the beginning. The Persevera had changed beyond recognition. What was once a rejected human ship had become a sleek, intelligent vessel, capable of maneuvers no alien ship could match. Its engines purred like a living creature, and the artifact inside pulsed with an energy that seemed to respond to Jackson's thoughts. Jackson Hale stood in the cockpit, hands hovering over the controls. The stars outside glittered like diamonds scattered across black velvet. Beyond the starport, the galaxy stretched into endless possibilities. Today, he would take the Persevera further than ever before beyond the charted sectors, into areas where few humans had dared to go. "This is it," Jackson whispered. "Let's show them what humans can really do." As he guided the Persevera through the outskirts of known space, a signal appeared on the communication panel. It was unusual. Structured, precise, and clearly alien. Jackson studied the data. The signal came from a fleet belonging to the Orzalian Confederation, known for their strict rules and rigid control over galactic trade. Most alien species obeyed their commands without question, but humans rarely followed such rules blindly. The fleet's message was simple and direct. "Surrender your ship for inspection. Resistance is forbidden." Jackson leaned back in his seat and smiled. "They want to inspect the Persevera. Let's give them a show instead." He adjusted the ship's trajectory and activated the enhanced engines. The Persevera moved with astonishing speed. The Persevera, N50, N-tapting, weaving between asteroid fields with precision. The alien fleet followed, trying to anticipate the ship's movements, but the Persevera was always one step ahead. The Orzalian ships were massive and heavily armored. They relied on strength and brute force, trusting their numbers to dominate. The Persevera, however, was different. Jackson had designed it to adapt, think, and respond creatively. It could predict patterns, adjust shields instantly, and maneuver in ways the alien pilots could not. One Orzalian ship tried to block his path, expecting to corner him. The Persevera tilted smoothly, changing engine vectors mid-flight, and slipped past with perfect ease. Another ship attempted to mimic the maneuver, only to collide with debris. The fleet faltered. Their numbers and power meant nothing against a ship that could anticipate and respond to every action. Jackson laughed quietly. "Not bad for a human ship." "Huh?" The aliens attempted communication again. This time, their tone was more respectful, even cautious. "Human pilot," said the Orzalian leader, a tall being with crystalline limbs. "Your ship moves unlike anything we have seen. We wish to understand it, not fight." Jackson nodded. "Then observe. But remember, this ship is more than metal and circuits. It's human ingenuity in action." He guided the Persevera through a series of complex maneuvers. The ship twisted, turned, and glided as if alive. The artifact inside glowed brightly, amplifying every movement. The shields shifted like liquid metal, adapting instantly to imaginary obstacles. The engines pulsed, providing bursts of energy that made the Persevera glide through space effortlessly. The alien fleet was silent, unable to hide their amazement. They realized that the Persevera did not rely on raw power, but creativity and adaptability, qualities they had never valued as much as strength. After a while, Jackson decided to demonstrate the Persevera's energy systems. He activated the energy projection module, sending a controlled pulse toward a nearby asteroid. The pulse redirected the rock gently into a safe orbit, demonstrating that the ship could handle potential hazards without destruction. "This is how humans solve problems," Jackson said. "We don't always rely on force. We think, adapt, and find solutions." The aliens watched silently, impressed. Some of them whispered to each other, realizing that human creativity was a form of power no fleet could match by numbers alone. Jackson then took the Persevera deeper into uncharted space. Beyond the Orzalian fleet, he discovered a dense field of asteroids, magnetic currents, and gravitational anomalies. The Persevera moved effortlessly, dodging and weaving while the alien fleet struggled to follow. At one point, a massive magnetic storm threatened to pull ships off course. Alien vessels faltered, their engines straining against the forces. Jackson smiled and guided the Persevera through a precise series of maneuvers, using the magnetic currents to slingshot the ship safely past the storm. The artifact inside glowed with an intensity that lit up the cockpit. Jackson realized that it was rewarding creative solutions, amplifying his adjustments and making the ship more capable. The Persevera was not just a vessel, it was a partner, responding to human ingenuity in real time. While exploring this sector, Jackson received a new signal. It was weaker than the Orzalian fleets, but unmistakably organized and intelligent. The source was an old alien satellite, abandoned, but still functional. Jackson guided the Persevera close and analyzed the signals. They were encrypted, but the artifact seemed to resonate with them. Without fully understanding why, Jackson adjusted the energy output of the ship to match the signal's frequency. Suddenly, the satellite responded, activating dormant systems that began scanning the surrounding space. It was as if the Persevera and the satellite had established a connection. Jackson realized the artifact might allow the ship to interface with ancient alien technology no human or alien had used for centuries. This is amazing, he whispered. We can do more than fly. We can unlock old secrets and discover new possibilities. News of the Persevera's performance reached the Orzalian fleet. They were astonished that a human ship could move, adapt, and even communicate with ancient alien technology. For the first time, they were not mocking humans, they were curious and respectful. Jackson decided to return to Varellon Prime. On the journey back, he reflected on what had happened. The Persevera had transformed from a rejected ship into a symbol of human capability. It could maneuver through impossible conditions, adapt to every challenge, and solve problems without violence. Even the Orzalian fleet, known for strict rules and control, had to acknowledge that humans had a unique strength, ingenuity. Back at the starport, small crowds gathered to watch the Persevera land. Humans and aliens alike marveled at the ship. Jackson climbed out of the cockpit, smiling but humble. You see, he said quietly, it's not just about power. It's about thinking, adapting, and never giving up. Humans do that better than anyone. Aliens whispered among themselves, realizing that humans were more than simple mechanics or weak competitors. They had creativity, intelligence, and determination that could challenge the galaxy in ways no fleet could. As night fell, Jackson returned to the workshop. The artifact inside the Persevera pulsed gently, almost like a heartbeat. He realized that it was not just responding to him, it was preparing for something bigger, something beyond the limits of known space. He looked out at the stars and smiled. We're ready for the next challenge, he said. The galaxy doesn't know it yet, but humans are here to show them what we can do. The Persevera glimmered under the twin moons of Varellon Prime, a symbol of human determination, creativity, and adaptability. It was no longer a rejected ship, it was a beacon of what humans could achieve when they refused to give up. Somewhere beyond the stars, new adventures awaited. Ancient structures, uncharted territories, and mysteries of the galaxy were calling. And Jackson knew that the Persevera, powered by human ingenuity, would rise to meet them all. For the first time in galactic history, a human ship had earned respect, not through force, but through intelligence, creativity, and the courage to be different. The Persevera rested quietly in Jackson Hale's workshop. But the ship was far from idle. Its hull gleamed under the workshop lights, and the artifact inside pulsed steadily, as if preparing for the next phase of its journey. Jackson stood at the controls, studying the stars outside the viewport. Today, he would take the ship beyond the known galaxy, where few humans or aliens had ventured. This is it, Jackson whispered, running a hand over the polished controls. Time to see what we're truly capable of. With a deep breath, he activated the engines. The Persevera lifted gracefully, humming with energy. The twin moons of Varellon Prime shrank behind them as they accelerated toward uncharted space. The first challenge appeared sooner than expected. A cluster of ancient satellites, long abandoned, surrounded a small planet. These satellites were relics of a civilization that had vanished thousands of years ago. Most ships would see them as debris to avoid, but Jackson was curious. Let's see what secrets you hold, he said, guiding the Persevera closer. The artifact inside the ship pulsed as the Persevera approached the satellites. The ship's energy systems automatically adjusted to match the satellite's frequencies. Lights flickered across the ancient machinery, and slowly, the satellites began to hum with renewed life. Jackson marveled. It's not just a ship. It's a key. The Persevera's sensors revealed that the satellites formed a network capable of manipulating energy fields across the planet. With careful adjustments, Jackson realized that the ship could unlock and safely operate this network, something no alien civilization had done before. Jackson spent hours experimenting, adjusting the Persevera's systems to harmonize with the satellites. He created energy pulses that activated the network, powering long dormant structures and machines. The planet below began to glow softly, illuminated by the newly awakened technology. This is amazing," he whispered. "We can make old technology work again without destroying it. Humans can bring life to what others abandon." As he worked, he noticed signals emanating from the planet. They were not threats, but messages, old records of a civilization's knowledge. Jackson decoded parts of the messages, learning advanced designs, navigation techniques, and energy management methods. Every piece of information seemed to integrate naturally with the Persevera. The artifact pulsed brighter than ever, amplifying the ship's ability to absorb and process the knowledge. Jackson realized that the Persevera was not only a ship but also a bridge between human creativity and ancient technology. While exploring further, Jackson detected a faint distress signal from a nearby sector. It was weak but structured, clearly from intelligent beings. Most fleets would ignore such a signal, assuming it to be irrelevant or a trap. Jackson, however, saw it as an opportunity to help. "Humans don't ignore problems," he said, setting a course toward the signal. The Persevera navigated through a dense asteroid belt to reach the source. There, he discovered a small alien research station, trapped in a gravitational anomaly. Its energy systems were failing, and the inhabitants were struggling to stabilize the station. Jackson activated the Persevera's energy projection system. Instead of attacking or overpowering, he redirected energy flows to support the station, reinforcing its shields and stabilizing the orbit. The artifact pulsed, synchronizing with his actions and enhancing the effectiveness of every adjustment. The alien inhabitants looked at the ship with awe. They had expected no help, and yet a human in a rejected ship had saved them. Jackson smiled. "We don't always solve problems with force," he said quietly. "Sometimes, we solve them with thought, creativity, and care." News of the Persevera's exploits spread quickly across the galaxy. Alien civilizations that once dismissed humans began sending envoys to Virulon Prime, curious to learn more. They wanted to understand the technology, the artifact, and the human behind it. For Jackson, this was validation, but not the kind he expected. He did not seek praise or recognition. What mattered was showing that humans could achieve greatness through ingenuity and determination, even when others doubted them. He continued testing the Persevera's limits, venturing into sectors no ship had explored. Every time he faced obstacles, magnetic storms, gravitational fields, derelict stations, the ship adapted. It learned with him, responding to solutions he devised in real time. In one particularly dangerous sector, a planet's magnetic field fluctuated wildly, threatening to disable any conventional ship. Jackson carefully guided the Persevera, adjusting energy output and shield configurations. The ship not only survived the fluctuations, but used the magnetic currents to accelerate safely through the field. "This is what humans can do," Jackson said, smiling. "We see opportunity where others see danger." The artifact inside the Persevera began emitting a constant, steady glow. Jackson realized that it had fully integrated with the ship and its systems. The Persevera now operated at a level far beyond any alien vessel, not through weapons or brute force, but through adaptability, intelligence, and problem-solving. With this realization, Jackson decided it was time for the Persevera to return to the galaxy not just as a ship, but as a symbol. He charted a course to Virulon Prime, planning to demonstrate the ship's full capabilities to the Galactic Council. As the ship approached the starport, alien observers gathered. The Persevera moved with unmatched grace, performing maneuvers that no fleet could replicate. It used energy flows to navigate obstacles, activated satellite networks, and stabilized planetary systems, all without causing harm. The crowd watched in awe. Even the Orzalian fleet, which had once attempted to command Jackson to surrender the ship, stood silently, admiring the human's achievement. Jackson stepped out of the cockpit, addressing the assembly of aliens and humans. "The Persevera was once rejected," he said, pointing to the ship. Everyone said it was flawed. But humans see potential where others see failure. We take what is rejected, we improve it, and we make it better. That is who we are. That is what humans can do. There was a moment of silence, followed by a wave of quiet admiration. No cheers, no loud applause, just respect. The galaxy had seen what humans could achieve when they relied on intelligence, creativity, and perseverance, rather than power or aggression. The Persevera's artifact pulsed one final time, glowing brightly as if acknowledging its purpose had been fulfilled. The ship had transformed completely from a rejected machine into the ultimate human creation, capable of shaping the galaxy in positive ways. In the days that followed, humans were invited to share their knowledge with other species. Engineers studied the Persevera, diplomats discussed human problem-solving, and explorers asked for guidance in uncharted sectors. Jackson continued to refine the ship, exploring new mysteries and solving new challenges, but he never forgot the lesson of the Persevera's first days. It had started as a ship everyone rejected. It had succeeded not because of its design alone, but because of human imagination, persistence, and courage. One night, standing on the bridge of the Persevera, Jackson gazed at the stars. Far beyond the known galaxy, signals awaited discovery. Mysteries demanded solutions, and challenges called for creativity. "Humans can do amazing things," he whispered, "and this is just the beginning." The Persevera pulsed gently, ready for the next adventure. It was a ship rejected by all, yet now the ultimate symbol of human ingenuity. And somewhere in the galaxy, civilizations watched and learned that humans were not to be underestimated. Not through power, but through mind, heart, and relentless creativity. The Persevera had shown the universe that rejection could be transformed into triumph, and that human spirit could turn even the smallest opportunity into galactic greatness.